Hi guys, I just bought myself another BMW 7 Series, just for £1,400, and like a bonus, I got a BMW umbrella, and it's working. I'm in the car, not the umbrella. So what's the story behind this 7 Series, and how I bought it? Few days ago I was on my phone, randomly searching through Facebook Marketplace, and I found this BMW 750i V8 from 2005 with just 80,000 miles on the clock. It was advertised like a car for parts or repair, with check engine light on, but it was running. So what's the issue then? The advert was saying that the car was stood for 5 months on a driveway, and it was bought like a non-runner and had a second ECU fitted. And it's showing mileage of 130,000 miles, but the car has done 80,000 miles. And here is the issue. I suggested that the car had some damage on the ECU, probably compartment where the ECU lies was flooded by water at some point. But luckily the car was offered with the original ECU. So I told myself this can be a good investment, because there are so many companies that can easily clone damaged ECU, even flooded ECU, just for a few £100. So straight away I wrote to this person what was offering the 7 Series that I'm very interested in it. But there was no response whatsoever. But I noticed that there was also a phone number. So I called it and I had a response. So I arranged a meeting on the next morning so I could take a look on this 7 Series. I also did an online vehicle check if the mileage is correct and if it wasn't previously written off by insurance company. And everything was alright. The morning was here and I went there with my better half, waited a little bit, and then I saw coming the 7 Series on the trade number plates. It was actually selling by a guy who worked for a car trading company with MOT station. No wondering why this 7 Series has MOT sorted. So I started looking around it and I was impressed in how good condition paintwork was, even interior. It just needed a proper wash, and like suggested, this 7 Series was suffering by water damage. Water was in the boot and the headliner had the signs of leaking sunroof, certainly due clogged up drains. When I opened rear compartment where are all modules, I discovered that this 7 Series is also very good equipped. It's got the Logic 7 audio amplifier, TV module, DVD changer, rear additional display, soft close door, and so on. But it also has my favorite from a ride handling aspect, and that's the dynamic drive. But unfortunately, nothing from that is working at the moment. So I asked the guy what's the story of this car and why he is selling it. He responded that he bought it like a non-runner car from the elderly woman whose husband passed away, and it belonged to him. He tried to fix it with a second-hand ECU and a CAS module. In order to start this 7 Series and many other BMWs, you need the CAS module with the coded key to it. And also the ECU what is as well coded to it. So you had to buy not just the ECU, but as well the CAS module and the key to it. But much easier way is just buy a new or used ECU and clone it from damaged one. That way you don't have to buy other unnecessary parts. And this way I would like to sort it out. He told me as well that he wanted initially fix it on his own, but he rather decided to sell it. Probably he didn't want to hassle with so many electric issues. Also, I did a short test drive and I didn't hear any weird noises, nothing was banging, clunking or squeaking. So there was only one thing to deal with, and it was the price. He had already a lot of offers. Even when I was there, a few potential buyers were calling him. So we made a deal on £1,400. So we sorted paperwork and I started searching some recovery car. I called few of them, but most of them didn't have anything available. It was actually Saturday. Luckily, on 5th attempt, I managed to find somebody. So the 7 Series was loaded on the recovery truck and was delivered to my home. And now we are here on my driveway. So what's the plan with this 7 Series? As I mentioned, firstly I have to sort out the ECU. Then I will decide what to do like a next step. The ECU what is right now in the car must be taken off and sent along with the damaged one to the company what will basically transfer all data from it like VIN, mileage and so on to that what is in this 7 Series at the moment. Then we will have a clone of the original ECU. Hopefully they will manage to clone it. It looks that it was damaged by water. I see some oxidation here, and as well some pin is missing. Also, CAS module needs to be replaced for original one, so the cloned ECU can communicate with it. But first thing first, let's take out the ECU. Mr. Mechanic, are you ready?
Yes, Mr. Money Pit Buyer.
Come on, it was relatively cheap 7 Series.
I would say relatively broken is better term, but whatever.
You have no enthusiasm.
Since when mechanics have some enthusiasm for broken BMWs?
Just do what you know and I'll get you some blueberry muffins.
That sounds better.
Firstly, I will replace the battery because the one that is in the 7 Series at the moment is completely dead. And I'd like to hear the starting of the engine from the battery, not just from a jumper cables, and as well I have to move a little bit that beast. Of course, lot of water in the boot. And look at on that wheel. It was made in 2004. It's actually 19 years old tire and it's been never used. Actually, a small battery for that big car. Let's take it out. That's a proper battery. It's alive. The boot is working. Let's start the beast. That's a nice smell of petrol. If you want to leave the E65 or E66 during the night or longer without the battery, but you're struggling with closing of the boot, here is how to do it. Before you disconnect the battery, close the latch, so the boot actuator will twist downwards. Disconnect the battery, open the latch with the key and then close the lid. Now let's take out the ECU. It doesn't hold. Let's find purpose for BMW umbrella. Actually, I found this umbrella in the boot of this 7 Series. It's getting dark. Let's hurry up. Hex number 5. Then I found cut wire. No wondering the 7 Series had a misfire, because that wire was actually for one of ignition coils. Obviously somebody was playing with it very hard. It will be fixed later. When we compare the both ECUs, we see that they are identical. Just on the damaged one is some cable what probably should replace that missing pin. Really strange way to repair it. Now I have to find somebody who will clone it. So I closed everything and later I started searching for someone who can clone the ECU. Thank you, BMW umbrella. You were very helpful. It's 2 days later and I managed to get to somebody who could clone the ECU. But unfortunately, this ECU is completely dead. I've been told that somebody was messing with this thing pretty hard and they destroyed it. I was actually expecting it when I saw in what condition this ECU was. Never mind. Luckily, that guy can code this working ECU for this 7 Series. Change the VIN number, also bring back the mileage from the original CAS module. But there is a catch involved. The best way to do it is bring this 7 Series to him. That way he can code the whole car for the new ECU. He's not far away from me, just 1 hour away, but the issue is that I'm not sure if this 7 Series will drive to him and then back home to me without any issues. So I have to check this 7 Series and repair what is repairable. Let's start with the issues. Firstly, let's fix that cut wire for the ECU. Best product only from BMW. I think that I don't need this thing here at the moment. A little bit of vacuuming. Then I had to open the connector so I could put in it a new female pin with the new wire and solder it. As well, I checked all the wiring if there is no oxidation or anything cut. Luckily, I didn't discover anything wrong. So let's put everything back together. Do you remember missing male pin from the damaged ECU? It was actually hidden in the old female pin. And the wiring on the ECU is nicely done. I was wondering on the other faults which are hiding in this 7 Series. So I connected the battery support unit and the diagnostic tool so I could see more issues. And straight away I had to remove the fault memory because there was mess of the stored faults from 7 Series. From mine and from that which was taken, the ECU. After reading all faults again, I discovered that this 7 Series has faulty tuner module. Same like my Le Mans Blue 7 Series and few other issues such as heater control valve, auxiliary water pump and few bits. As well, the dynamic drive is inactive because the VIN number stored in the module for the dynamic drive doesn't match in that what is stored in the ECU. But there is nothing major why I shouldn't be able to go on the road. Next issue, somebody messed with the left side wiper arm, resulting the wipers are hitting each other. So now I'm going to fix it. First step, remove cap. Remove the nut. Now the extraction tool for the wiper arm. Set it up slightly higher, like the wiper arm mark is showing. Install the nut and test it. Now the wipers don't hitting themselves anymore. Tighten the nut, cover it, and it's done. I also noticed that one of the vacuum pipe was disconnected, so I connected it back. Simple as that. Then I decided to clean the boot bottom area where the spare wheel and the battery are located. Before that I removed the lower window sill because it already fell out. The result and putting everything back in place. A few bits which belongs to car. Later I will install them. Now I decided to clean the drain holes, which are located behind the wheel arches. Interesting fact, it's got 2 locking nuts per wheel. Hopefully I'll be lucky to remove them.
Or maybe not.
Wish me luck.
Thank God. This one is for a bigger socket.
Now 3 more wheels. Two more wheels. One more wheel left. Perfect. Luckily, all the locking nuts were not over-tightened. I already ended up with my G11 7 Series in a workshop with over-tightened locking nuts. They had to use special tools to lose them. And the issues? It's slightly rusty. Slight surface rust, the brake disc looks heavily corroded, the lower oil pan as well corroded, and the traditional BMW engine oil leak. Let's continue to the drains. That's actually a sunroof drain. And it's covered by a cable. That's fun. Now to the engine compartment drain. Of course, it's full of junk. You can put it back, but I'm not going to bother with that. Just to throw it away. The other side. The same issues, such as slight surface rust and heavily corroded brake disc. Let's remove the drain plugs again. Look how much gunk is in there. Then I try to remove the rest of the dirt from the drain holes. I also poured a bit of water into the drains if they are still blocked. And it looks that only the driver's side sunroof drain is still blocked. I tried few ways to unblock the drain, like a flexible metal wire or an electric cable, but I still bumped into some resistance in the drain. Then I tried to blow the drains with the compressed air. And it worked perfectly. Also, I poured a bit of the water into the drains to check if it's passing freely. And it did from both drains. I as well cleaned and lubricated the rails for the sunroof glass lid. There are as well rear drains for the sunroof, but I'm not going to bother with them at the moment. Time for putting everything back together. Look at those cracks in that tire. No wondering, they are 8 years old. Hopefully they will do few more extra miles. I also wanted to check the rear axle, and it wasn't that bad. Just again some surface rust. The two bolts were tough to lose. Another interesting discovery. The brake disc and the brake pads look like recently replaced. Also, they don't have almost any wear, and the brake pads got even clearly visible labeling. I even found all invoices to them which dated back to June 2020, which means that this 7 Series was stood for a much longer period of time, probably for almost 3 years. On closer look on the rear axle, no major issues, but some control arms need attention. But at the moment it's alright. The wheel bag on, torque it to spec. I didn't want to tighten the locking nuts to spec, because I was afraid from snapping a pattern on the old locking socket, so I tightened them maybe to 3/4 of the spec. The other side has the same issues. Surface rust and control arms need attention. Tires pressure checking. And the last touch-ups, like dusting out the engine compartment and checking the fluids. And finally the moment on which we were waiting for. The 7 Series get a wash after who knows how long been stood. Maybe almost 3 years with some small moving around. After that discovery with the rear brakes. I didn't want to go for a detail cleaning, just a proper wash. I couldn't wait for a test drive till the next morning, so I and my better half hit the road. But before that, we had to take some fuel. The ride itself wasn't bad. The issues what we had were old unbalanced tires, which were causing vibration through steering, and also we experienced popping of some errors on the dashboard like dynamic drive failure, do not coded ECU. We managed to come safely to our destination to get some sweets. Hopefully my mechanic will not jealous. The next morning showed that under the dirt what was covering the 7 Series for a very long time, the bodywork looks really good on its age. Although there are some issues like scratched front bumper and peeled off clear coat to previous poor repainted job, dent on the rear bumper and a few scratches what could be easily polished. So it's 1 week later and the guy who told me that he can code the ECU so everything could work together didn't do anything. He tried, but he didn't succeed. He's been telling me that it was popping him some error or what. He thought that something is wrong with the wiring, some cable is cut somewhere on the diagnostic plug. But when I plugged the diagnostic tool and did a full scan, I think it would show me some error or something. But of course there were no errors regarding that issue. Never mind, just a few days of wasting time, fuel and 85 pounds for his trying. But then I wrote to Andy. If you're asking who is Andy, he contacted me after releasing the first episode of my Le Mans Blue 7 Series E65. He did most of retrofitting on that 7 Series. And as well, he's selling a lot of used parts for BMWs. I just bought a few parts from him on my Le Mans Blue 7 Series. So back to this 7 Series. Andy gave me contact on Tom Kendra from the BM Passion. I wrote him, described the situation, and he responded that he can code the new ECU and also adjust the mileage back where it should be. But he had time to do it only next morning or 1 week later. And also he was far from me 1 hour and a half. So I was worried about those old tires. So I had to swap them.
Hey, I swapped them.
Oh, sorry, yes, you. Then I luckily managed to do a wheel alignment in a local workshop and the 7 Series drives much better. So the next morning I went to Tom and he did the job. Coded everything together and also I helped him swap the CAS module for the original one because he never did that on the E65. A big part of the job he got with the instrument cluster. He had to take out the chip from the cluster and adjust the mileage to the correct one on the bench. If you're asking why the mileage was so high in the cluster, it's because of the previous owner mistake. He put the second-hand CAS module into the car, which automatically overwrote the correct lower mileage in the cluster. But in case we put the original CAS module with stored memory of lower mileage, it doesn't overwrite anything. It's happening only with change from low to high. So big shout out to Tom Kendra. If you're looking for similar repair or coding, I can highly recommend him. After he coded everything, my favorite feature came back to life, which is the dynamic drive. Also, I discovered one hidden feature on this 7 Series, which is keyless entry. And now this 7 Series is working again.
Yes, it's working. So let's sell it and make some profit on it. Probably it's going to be first time ever in the history of the 7 Series E65. Let's imagine that. I sold BMW 7 Series E65 and made a profit on it.
But there is still some job to do on it, like regular service, engine oil and filters.
Just put the sticker under the bonnet that you change it like everybody does.
Who does that?
Somebody do.
And what about the radio?
What about it?
It's not working.
Why you need the radio when you got sound of the V8 engine?
No. We have to fix that.
So no profit again.
So in next few episodes of this 7 Series we'll do a regular service. We also have to fix some module or modules on the nose ring. Front brakes need some attention, as well the headlamps and some small details. So if you're interested, join me and this crazy Muppet at the backseat on fixing of this 7 Series what needs the second chance. Thank you for watching, I hope you liked this episode and see you in next one.